Peace and love, creatives. I have a lot of sketch pads from like Scroller Box and different companies that I end up just putting to the side and never using unless I turn them into sketchbooks. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make a sketchbook out of some pads that you have lying around that you don't use for the same reason, if you do. These are the tools you're going to need. You're going to need scissors. You're going to need some kind of like binding tape. To be honest with you, that's medical tape that I got at the Dollar Tree. You're gonna need Mod Podge. You're gonna need a paintbrush to put use the Mod Podge with. You're gonna need an eraser, a thumbtack of some sort. You're gonna need a needle. Some embroidering string is my favorite just because it's nice and colorful. Binding clips, a marker to mark your spots, and some kind of cover. It can be paper, it can be cloth. I have this because I love making my sketchbooks, and you know, why not go a little extra. A boning tool, you really don't need this. If you have some kind of like straight edge to make your folded paper nice and creased, that's all you need. A blade, or if you have one of these paper cutter things, you're more than welcome to use that. That'll work even better. And this is what you need, and this is the sketch pad we're going to use. And the first thing we're going to do is take each page out. And there are a couple of other tools that you're going to need for the pressing of the sketchbook process. I have 2 wooden boards that I use and some clamps. You can just use really heavy books and put them on top to keep your sketchbook nice and straight while it dries, while the glue dries. So here I'm just taking off any of the excess glue that's from the pad. I'm also going to keep the back piece, which is a cardboard kind of chipboard kind of piece, and that's going to be our front and back cover of the sketchbook. I'll keep this piece of paper just to make sure that I have the information of the kind of paper that is in the sketchbook, because I tend to forget to do that when I make my sketchbooks. So yeah. So now all we're gonna do is we're gonna fold every page in half and make sure that they're nice and evenly folded. You want to get corner to corner and just keep folding until you're done. Now after this, we're going to put these pages we're going to turn these into signatures, and all that means is we're going to put a couple of pages in between each other. In this case, it's going to be 3 pages in each signature. One is going to have 4 because that's just how the number came out. And here I'm just showing you the difference between actually pressing it down completely and it being kind of pressed down. You want it to be really, really pressed down, nice and creased. Once you have all that done, you're going to insert the pages and make your signatures. That's one signature there. And those are with the 4 pages. The rest are going to have 3. I recommend 3 max, depending on the thickness of your paper. Once you have that all done, you're going to get them nice and straight and lined up. and you're gonna use those binding clips to keep them straight and lined up while you do your next step. And this portion is really important because it's going to basically have, it's going to be how you keep your binding looking neat and straight. So if this part is crooked, it's just going to be downhill from here. And here I just kind of like measure the crease of my thumb to the tip of my thumb on each side. And because of the size of the sketchbook, I'll just put one more right in the middle. And those are my guides for when I make holes in each signature. So once we have that done, what we're gonna do next is make the holes in each signature or little booklet, whatever you want to call it. But the technical term is a signature. So again, we're gonna keep them nice and straight, make sure that they're lined up together with each other. This is what the eraser's for. You need a nice good surface for when you poke that hole in. You don't want to poke a hole in any of your crafts or in anything important. So the eraser is a nice little buffer between the signatures and my desk. So we're gonna do that 2 more times. And you also want to make sure that when you open them and close them, that you put them exactly the way you took them, because you want each row to line up perfectly. And if you flipped one over by accident, it might not line up perfectly, and again will mess up your binding, or it'll just look crooked. To be honest with you, it won't completely mess it up, it just will look crooked. So here we're putting the clips on the top and the bottom, leaving one signature open, and this is going to be the beginning of our bookbinding. And now here I decided to go with the green embroidery string, and I have 3 signatures. So I'm gonna pull the length of the string 3 times, 1, 2, 3. And I also pull a little bit more just in case. And we're gonna cut that. Now we're going to thread the needle. Sorry about the blurriness, but it's pretty much, trying to get the string inside of the little needle hole. I don't know the technical term, sorry. And we're going to put the needle into the first signature and not going all the way through. Then we're going to sew it right through the following hole. And we're going to go up to the next hole, and then we're going to go back to the center. Let's clean up a little bit so we don't lose any of our pieces. Then we're going to go straight to the center again, and over to that beginning hole. Now this is the only signature that you're going to do this step for. You're going to make a loop, and basically I'm just going to make a nice little knot really, really close to that first hole. While holding the string in the back so that we don't lose it. And while you're holding that string in the back, you're just going to pull and make sure that it's nice and tight. Once that's done and you know it's nice and secure, you're going to thread the needle through that same hole one more time. And you're gonna pull all the way through until you hear like a little boop, until you hear that little knot go all the way to the back, because you don't want the knot inside your page. It's better on the outside where you're not going to see it. And we're going to move on to the next signature. These clips are optional for here. It's just, you see how things just fall apart when they're not, you know, clipped together. It's just easier for me to keep my signatures in order and not have to need like 4 more hands to do it. Well, you know, so that's what the clips are for. That's why I use them. So now on that same side, we're going to first we're gonna loop. I did an error here. First we're gonna loop the string through that top sewing portion, then we're gonna put it through the hole of the second signature. And then we're gonna go to the middle. We're gonna loop it and go back in where we came from. So there's that loop. Now we're gonna go back into that middle signature hole and we're gonna pull it through. So what that does, if you loop it, it stops the string from coming out and, you know, not being secure. So here we're gonna do it again at the end. We're gonna loop it, but we're not gonna go back in. We're gonna go down to the next signature. So I'm gonna take my clips off like last time and just have that one signature open so that I can put the string through the holes. I promise you, once you get the hang of this technique, it's so much fun, it's so easy, and the best part is, you know, you get to use the paper, the exact paper that you want to use when you're out and about. So I already did the loop. I'm going into the hole, that first hole right there, and we're gonna just repeat again. And down, we'll go to the middle. We're gonna do that loop again. And this time we can just kind of like do like an in and out kind of thing. Put it through the hole again and move to the last hole. And now in this last hole, we're gonna just make a knot. So I just put the needle through, and then I just slip it through that little knot that that little loop that I made, and then I loop it again. And I'm just trying to make a secure, a nice and secure knot. So however you want to make these knots, it's up to you. This is how I make it. And then like I try to keep it down towards the bottom. And for added security, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie 2 more knots using that first initial string that we left, that little bit out. We're going to tie it, and we're going to just tie it again. Now we're just going to snip off a little bit of the string so that there's only a bit of it left. And usually I just glue the back of the pages together, but I kind of just wanted to do the tape. It's less finicky, and if I had more signatures, it would look prettier because you would be able to see the string. But being that there's only 3, I'm just gonna put the binding tape. So here I'm measuring, and I don't know why I'm doing this, to be honest with you. I have to eventually just cut it in half, the board. So while I'm doing this, it's not necessary. I just wanted to make sure, because sometimes I cut it too short on one side and too long on the other. So I just wanted to make sure that I didn't, do that. But you get a ruler, you measure half, and you just cut it in half. And that's all you need. So with this type of sketchbook, the back of the book will be visible. You will see the tape binding because I'm not going to put a spine. And I'm okay with that. I do have a way to make a sketchbook cover with the spine. And there are steps for that in a video that it's titled How to Make a Watercolor Sketchbook. But it's pretty much the same. If you want to make a spine, you can just fast forward to that part. I'll try to remember to link it in the description. Yeah. So here I'm just pulling the tape to make sure that I have a nice and tight faux spine, I guess you can call it. And I'm just pressing it down to make sure that it stays. This is the cloth that I decided that I wanted to use, or the fabric. It's a Harry Potter themed one. It was on clearance in Walmart, and I've had it for a while, knowing that I was going to make a sketchbook or 2 or 3 or maybe 4 out of it. So yeah. Now I'm going to take the Mod Podge and I'm going to put it completely covering that top part, fold it over, press it down, and flip it. And then I'm just going to, it's kind of like really open V's that I'm making with the edges. And it's just that I have a nice smooth edge at the end. This part right here where you see all the thread and all that, don't even worry about it because it's going to be covered by a page. So I'm doing the same thing, glue on one side, flip it over, glue on the other side, close everything up, layer a little bit more glue. And yeah, here I kind of like didn't cut it exactly how I wanted, so I ended up just trimming it a little bit more. So now here I'm just seeing which one I want to be my front page and which one I want to be, well, my front cover, and which one I want to be my back cover. And once I have that figured out, I'm putting a little bit more glue on the front and on the back. And then the painstaking putting the covers on both sides and making sure that you didn't accidentally put it wrong, because then you have to take it off and do it again. And you have to do that before it dries. So now once that's done, we're going to take, well, the way I do it is I use a piece, 2 pieces of wood, and I put the book in between those 2 pieces of wood. Before I close it up though, I do put some parchment in between the first and the last page. Like it's in between the cover and the first page and the cover and the last page. And what the parchment paper is going to do is it's going to protect the other pages from the moisture of the glue that's on the covers, the cover and the back end of the sketchbook. Once that's all said and done, I'm going to put the spine of the book facing out, and I'm going to cover the sketchbook with the 2 pieces of wood. I initially put the clamp on the top of the board, but then I realized just how small the book was, and I end up just putting them on each side. So I have 1 clamp on one side, and I have 1 clamp on the other side. And then we wait a day for it to dry, and through magic. Okay, so this is how the sketchbook ends up looking once you are done and letting it dry for a day. And it's really nice. I like it. Got a nice hard cover and a couple of pages to do some really fun art in. I have an edge trimmer, I guess that's what you call it. But what I like to do in my sketchbooks is round the corners, and this one, I don't know if you can see it, hold on. This one has like more triangular and then a little bit rounded triangular and then more rounded triangular. I think I want to go with this one. So I'm just going to do that. And that is how I would make a little mini travel sketchbook for maybe some plein air, or maybe I want to take it on a trip, or just, you know, when I'm running errands. Now, some people won't like the fact that the pages kind of like come out a little and they're not all uniform and straight. I don't really care about that. I mean, it's not that big of a deal for me, so yeah, that won't bother me. If you have any questions, or if I went too fast in a part, just let me know and I'll try to answer any kind of question or, you know, concern that you have. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you have a wonderful day, night, afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Peace and love.